Hello, and welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start flipping or wholesaling houses in New York, or if you're already doing it, how to grow your business. Now, got a great question from somebody, and was it from Jacob? How to list a wholesale deal on the MLS. So, first of all, I'm going to answer that question if you stay to the end, but I want to talk about what that question comes from. So here's what I've discovered after dealing with, hundreds of people that were starting out. The two biggest unfounded fears I find for people that want to start out are A, how am I going to find anybody to buy my property? If I go to contract, well, how am I going to find a buyer? And the second is, how am I going to get the money for it if I want to close? Now, there are tons of fears before you start, believe me. But those are the most unfounded fears because, without a doubt, if you get a good deal, money and buyers will always flow to it. Always, right? Now, it wasn't that case 25 years ago when there's no internet, but today, if you have a good deal, you will find people to fund it and you will find people to buy it. So, this question comes from the fear of, hey, I'm going to go into contract on a wholesale deal, and I'm not going to have anybody to buy it. So let me explain a few things. First of all, the hard part of this business that you don't see on HGTV, the hard part, this is not straight, sorry. The hard part is finding the deals, right? That is the hard part. Everything else, I'm not saying that everything else is easy, but everything else you can learn relatively quickly, right? How to rehab, find a contract, all those things. It's not easy, but you can learn it. But getting the deals is hard. If you told me you have a steady stream of deals, I'll tell you, you're going to be a very wealthy person your entire life, right? Even if you don't do anything else besides get the deals. If you told me you can get funding, you told me you can find buyers, I'll tell you, you can probably have a job. Because those parts aren't hard. Now, I'm not saying that, actually, I shouldn't say they're hard. They're not as hard. So getting the deals is the hard part. Now, let's talk about what this putting a wholesale deal on the MLS is. So I've been for years recommending that everyone in this business get licensed. And one of the reasons, right, not the most important reason, but there's three reasons, and this is the second reason, is that you can put your deals on the MLS, even wholesale deals. So a couple of things. First of all, I have absolutely checked with my local real estate board. I'm on Long Island. That's the LI board, Long Island Board of Realtors, and this is 100% okay. Maybe it's not as okay in your area, but I think if you're in a different MLS, but I think it's okay everywhere. And they have told me without a doubt that you are absolutely allowed to put a property on the MLS that you don't own if you are in contract. You just are not allowed to represent that you own it. So the owner, in the owner's name, should be contract vendee. That just means, hey, I'm in contract and I'm trying to sell it. So this is not a problem. There are no conflicts. This is not frowned upon or illegal in any way in my area. You may want to ask in your area if you're in a different area. But it is 100% fine, right? Now, what is this concept for, right? So if you don't have a buyer's list, right? Well, let's talk about something else. So I mentioned before that really money and buyers flow to good deals, right? Now you may be saying, well, this guy, he's been doing this for a long time, so he's built a buyer's list. This guy has done it a long time, so he has people willing to give him money. Let me just explain a few things to you. Couple things. Number one is, even if it's just as easy as making a call to me, right? And people have done this. They've called me, they go, listen, I have a property, this is the address, I can get it for $240,000, and I'll say, let's do it. We'll wholesale it, we should make 40 grand, let's split it. That's one phone call and you make $20,000. So that's number one. Number two is that these are things that are so much easier than you think they are, right? Now, I understand that in New York, where there's no inspection contingency like there is in 49 other states, it's scary, right? It's scary to sign a contract and give a deposit, which sometimes is considerably bigger in New York than in other places, to not know who's going to buy it, right? But even if you run the deal by me, right, and I say it's a deal at this number, I'm telling you it's a deal, right? So it's easy to find buyers and money, right? I get bombarded by people who tell me they have a buyer's list or they have funding. I ignore those people because they annoy me. Now, if you start this business, you will also get bombarded. And some of those people are full of crap. They really don't have good buyers. They have crappy lists. And some of those people are going to give you funding that are not in good terms. But money and buyers will always flow to good deals. So if you can find good deals, you'll find them. Now, again, you can start. I've had people who did their first few deals with me, and I had people that stopped, and I had people who still do it because they feel like it's easier. It doesn't matter. All I'm saying is it's not anything to worry about. So, if you don't have a buyer's list and you think you have a great deal, I would say, first of all, don't be so sure. A lot of people have come to me with deals, and I've looked at them and go, that is not a deal. And then I explain to them why. Your comps are not accurate. Those are not comparable sales. You're dealing with a different school district. You are dealing with much better location. You are dealing with much bigger house. That skill of being able to come up with value is really important and takes a little time. So, again, I'm not. In some way, this is a shameless plug for you to work with me on a deal or two, and let's split the profits. But finding out what a deal is almost as hard as many of the other parts of this business. It's not easy to know what a deal is. Now, you're going to listen to some guru and good guys in Port St. Lucie, Florida, or in Lubbock, Texas, and these guys are nice, but they're going to tell you can hire VA to come up with the value because the Zillow just takes 70% of it Zillow. That does not work in a very densely populated area like New York. It does not work in a lot of areas, to be honest with you. Zillow and Trulia are not accurate. I've told the story before. I had a Zillow value that was off by over $1 million. $1 million. Property in East Hampton. I went into it a little skeptical on the value, but thinking that all my buyers were going to look at Zillow and going to buy this quick. Zillow was off by $1 million. Okay? $1 million. And I've seen Zillow off by $100,000 on hundreds, if not thousands of occasions. So you need to get that skill of what you know. And again, you may want to work with somebody like me who's really good at that, right? I can comp out most properties in a couple of minutes. So what you can do if you have a deal locked up is you can put it on the multiple listing service, the MLS, and you can list it as a contract ND. I would put into the wording very clearly, cash buyers only, assigning the contract, right? Because you are absolutely 100%, I've done this, going to get moron realtors who are going to call you and say, I have a great buyer for you. They're FHA, they're going to borrow 97%, and you're going to have to explain to them, please, you should have read the thing. I apologize, but this is only for cash buyers. And then they'll go, well, he can close, he can go to contract with no mortgage contingency, but he's got to close with a mortgage. Yeah, that doesn't work when you're assigning a contract, right? Just a bit of background in the mortgage business. A standard mortgage loan, whether it's conventional, so it's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, that means from any of the places you think of, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, or FHA, which is not conventional, but still some of the same kind of lenders, they will not fund a loan on an assignment of contract. Most of them will not. And those your end buyer cannot get a loan. It just doesn't work that way. So you need a cash buyer, all cash. Either a guy who's going to write you a check or get a hard money loan. That's the way it works. So you need to make that as clear as possible. Because no matter how clear you make it, you'll still get idiots who will tell you this, this is such a great deal. It's such a great deal. So, and you need to put it out for a price that makes sense for a cash buyer who's going to rehab the property to buy it, right? So if you put it out for a retail price, right, and I've seen this a billion times, right? House ARV is $600,000, needs a lot of work. Let's say $75,000, $100,000. Somebody will put it out there for $500,000. It doesn't make sense for a cash buyer to buy it for $500,000. If I buy it for $500,000 and put $75,000 into it, even if I sell it at $6,000, I'm going to lose my ass, right? Because I'm going to be in it for all those soft costs of another 50, 60 grand, right? My interest costs, if I'm borrowing hard money, my closing costs on the buy, my closing costs on the sell, my holding costs. So it's got to make sense, right? It's got to. And plus somebody wants to make profit. They're not going to do this to break even. So there has to be a big gap, right? Yeah, at least 20%, I would say. 20%, listen, in general, the numbers I work with, and I sell properties for more, I sell properties for less, is I try to sell a property to a cash buyer for about 80% of ARV minus repairs. So in the example I gave you, if it's a $600,000 ARV, 80% brings me down to $480,000. And if there's $80,000 repairs, I got to put it out there for around $400,000. Now I can put it out for a little more, a little less, that's fine. But if it really needs a lot of work, That's the price where people are going to be competitive on it. And if you put it out for higher, it's a mistake. But you put it out there and you will get buyers, right? You will get buyers. You will get losers, moron agents who don't know what they're doing, but you will get buyers. So it does work. It's perfectly legal. I recommend it. But here's a big caveat. Only do it if you're not going to have a problem with the seller. So if the seller's living there, I'm just telling you, if the seller's living there and doesn't know you're wholesaling it, you put it out on the MLS and 100 people come by and say, I heard your house is for sale. That's not good, right? If it's vacant or the seller doesn't, it works with the seller doesn't live there. If it's vacant, the seller is far away, is never going to see it, then it makes sense. So be careful when you do this. All right, I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in all the ways I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're interested in finding out more about a course I have that teaches how to do what I do, go to howtoflipnewyorkcourse.com. If you're interested in finding out more about one-on-one coaching, go to coaching.howtoflipnewyork.com. We got to go to an appointment. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching on any media channel, please click the thumbs up. And please keep the comments coming. I try to post 5 times a week. I do post 5 times a week. I don't always have topics. Any comment is fine. If it's a simple answer, I'll just reply to an answer. I'll reply with an answer. If it's something I've covered before, I'll send you links to videos. And if it's something new, I will do a new topic. I will do a new video on. So thank you very, very much for watching.